In this lesson, we're going to talk about alternate forms of software project organization. The goal of the lesson is to describe the different approaches to organizing a software project, including issues such as your time delivery, the scale of the system, the clarity requirements, and even the maturity of the technology being used. As an auditor, we have to understand the basic steps that are going to be outlined in the traditional approach, especially since these exist to some extent in almost all of these different types of development projects. Now, as an auditor, we might find other approaches to the auditing process, such as an incremental or progressive development, where the system is built in stages or releases rather than being sent in its entirety all at once. We might see an iterative development, where the system is built on iterations with feedback after each iteration and then adding to that any feature requests that might be made. Within that category of an iterative life cycle, the auditor might find a couple of variants that would include things like an evolutionary deployment, which is a form of prototyping used to build the working model. We use it to verify requirements, to kind of explore design issues. Eventually, the prototype can be hardened and made ready for the actual implementation. The spiral development would be a series of prototypes used to develop a solution to the point of detailed design, followed by a build and then test type of process. The name spiral comes from starting with a limited prototype and progressively becoming more and more expansive. Agile development is a process for the project and is broken down into the relatively short, time-boxed iterations. Now, on the Agile development, this is a reference to a family of similar development processes that uses a very non-traditional way of developing complex systems. It kind of uses the term called Scrum, which is a rugby analogy which completely escapes me because I don't know rugby all that well. But it's a process of planning and directing tasks being done by the team, leaving the project manager to kind of work on getting the obstacles out of the way of the team. When we talk about prototyping, it's kind of referred to as a heuristic or evolutionary development. It's a process of creating a system and to control the trial and error procedures to reduce the levels of risk in developing the finished system. So if you think about that, most of us know that term prototype. It's not a finished product. But during the trial and error procedures, we can figure out what's wrong, fix that, and just continue the prototyping. Now, the prototyping does follow the software development lifecycle, in that it is a systematic, stepwise approach, but it does use an iterative framework to kind of reflect the real world. Another one of these development methods we see is the thing called RAD. Now, that stands for the Rapid Application Development. It is a methodology that's designed to use or to help develop important systems and to do so quickly and at a lower development cost while still maintaining quality. Now, this is done by using a series of proven application development techniques. They're usually found as a collection inside of an integrated development platform, what we call the IDE. I made mention that Visual Basic and Visual C# are examples from Microsoft of an IDE platform. The reason I mentioned it was because it was able to work with database servers and web servers, and so it's kind of integrated all of these different parts of what we might be trying to design as a finished application. RAD supports the analysis, design, development, and the implementation of individual application systems. RAD does not support, planning analysis. That sometimes is needed to define the information needs of the enterprise.